Hey guys, how's it going? So a couple things today. First off, I want to give you an update on our fiddle leaf fig cuttings that I took about 4 months ago. And then I've got a bunch of repotting to do. I bought a navel orange, pink guava, and kumquat tree, like little ones earlier on this spring. And then I also bought a larger size Chicago hardy fig. So all of those need to be taken out of their nursery containers and put in more decorative pots so I can get them out of the greenhouse and out in our garden. First things first, here are the fiddle leaf cuttings that I took from my big one in the great room in our house, which that one actually has been producing new leaves up top, but so has this. Look at this. So that's where I made my cut right there, and then it's produced a new stem already, a couple of new leaves. This one produced a new leaf up top right here. So it's going really well. Let me take them out of the container. I'll give you a close-up of the roots. So you can see that I took the cuttings down on hardwood. So this is new wood right here, or softwood. And then where it turns more woody and brown, that's hardwood. About 4 weeks after I put the stems in water, and I didn't treat with root hormone or anything like that, which actually speeds up the process. But 4 weeks after I put them in water, they started to form these little white knob things. And then they started to push roots. This one pushed roots, well, clearly way faster than this one. In fact, this one stayed in the water just with those little white knobs for a couple of months before it actually started to produce roots. I kind of was starting to lose hope for it. So I'm really thrilled that it looks the way it does now. And I don't know what it is, but it is always so exciting to see these new roots form. Like, it doesn't matter how many times you've done it, how many plants you've propagated, it always gives me such a sense of I don't even know, satisfaction, especially because these plants are not cheap. They are fairly expensive to buy, so if you've got a nice big one that's getting a little bit out of control like mine was, I mean, it's nice to be able to kind of create your own. So I think I'm actually going to put both of these stems together in the same container. I'm going to use regular potting soil. I don't think I'm going to use any fertilizer at this point. I'm just going to get them potted and get them watered in. I'll keep them out here in the cold frame where it's really quite warm, warmer than in the house, and I think that they'll really flourish in this environment, and then later on I will move them back into the house. I'm gonna pop these back in the water until I have my container prepped. I think I'm gonna put them in this container here. I actually did a flower arrangement in this container fall before last, or maybe it was last fall. Maybe it was last fall. Anyway, I had little butternut squash hanging out of it. It was really fun. But this one doesn't have drainage, so I'm gonna pop a hole in the bottom. I brought the drill out and I'm hoping that my drill bit's long enough, so we're gonna have to just try that out. It's like a resin. That'll do. Well, it turned out really pretty. I just hope you guys were able to see it. I just realized the camera was set on time warp, and I don't think we can slow that kind of footage down. It was pretty basic. I popped a hole in the container using a drill and a long drill bit. I used the organic potting mix. I put the stems in the potting mix, kind of tamped them in, put a stake in, tied them together so they'll stay upright, and that's pretty much it. Isn't that gorgeous? It's already huge, and it was free, which is the best part. Now, that leaf on the bottom, the huge one, I mean, look at it in reference to the size of my hand. I mean, it's massive. I considered taking that off for a split second just to make it easier to arrange in that container, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it because it's so healthy. I mean, this whole plant is really healthy. Fits this pot perfectly, although you can't see the pot very well, not until it puts on a little more growth, I think. But I really like it. So I plan on keeping this out here for a little while. It's got really nice diffused light, very warm temperatures, so I think it'll help just kind of transition into its new home. I think it'll be able to root really quickly. I think it'll be happy. And then once it starts cooling off a little bit in the fall, I'll bring it back inside. So now we're gonna grab the kumquat, the pink guava, and the navel orange, which I have right here. So we've got the kumquat, which this one, I really like the leaf structure on it, but it's got some pretty wicked thorns. I did not realize that when I bought the plant. So we're gonna have to see. That's gotta be, the fruit's gotta be worth it to have those thorns. We've got the pink guava right here, which is the biggest, I think, of the three. And I believe this one's an evergreen, and it has 1 inch size white blooms that are really fragrant. And this is exciting because I think we've got some blooms forming right here. And then we've got our navel orange, which I'm gonna have to go grab another stake because this one's like cruising to the side. We need to stake that thing up. I'm gonna set all 3 of these up on our table so we can get them repotted. So those are the containers I'm going to use, a couple of terracotta and 1 resin. I think they're going to be a really pleasing group. I actually intend on keeping all of these in the glass greenhouse. I'm hoping that it's up and running and heated by winter time. I think they'll be perfect in there. So we've got the kumquat in this one, the pink guava in the resin, and then the navel orange in that terracotta. I'm going to be using the standard organic potting mix for all of these rather than cactus mix, which I've used in the past for citrus. I have great luck with it, but they're in much larger containers. And because these are in smaller containers and we are so dry and hot here, I need it to hold on to a tiny bit more moisture. I'll just monitor how often I water them. I may be able to go a little bit further between waterings, but I needed something that wouldn't just dry out like that. Because especially with the terracotta, the oxygen exchange through the walls of the pots, it dries out potting soil a lot quicker. Anyway, I think that the standard potting mix will be perfect. I'm fairly confident in the navel orange and the kumquat, even though I haven't grown any of these before, because I have grown a lot of citrus. In fact, I keep my lemons and lime trees up in our front sun porch year-round, and it's not a heated room. I run a heater, a floor heater kicks on in there if it goes below 40, just to take the edge off, and I just want to make sure it doesn't dip all the way to freezing, and they do so well up there. But to my understanding, the guava can't even take a whiff of cold, especially young plants. So I think the greenhouse is going to be a perfect place. I think that that plant is native to like Florida and Hawaii, very tropical environments, which we are not. This one does say that the fruit take a long time to ripen, like spring through fall, but I think mine's a little off, just the fact that it's going to maybe start blooming here now. Are these fruit though? Or no, they must be blooms, right? I haven't seen any blooms. I've had them for a few months now. Anyway. And then typically the kumquats bloom in the spring and you harvest the fruit in the winter. And I believe that's about the same for the navel orange. Let's see. Blooms in spring, harvest November through January. So not expecting fruit off of any of these. Even with these, I'm not sure what to expect. Just the fact that I'm repotting it and then we'll be moving it around a little bit. I don't know what will happen with those, but I'll be excited to share my journey, I guess, with these 3. I'm gonna get them all potted up real quick. They look awesome in these containers, so much better than the black plastic containers, and they were sunk down in metal, like colorful metal containers, which I'll use for something else. And then each one of them had a picture of what the fruit looks like attached to a stake inside the pot, which I think is brilliant marketing. It's what made me buy them, honestly. So the kumquats, this is what they look like, and they're small citrus fruit that are eaten like peel and all. That's what they look like. Here is the pink guava. Super excited about this one. I hope that I have success. And then of course the navel orange right there, which I did stake up. So I ran a stake along the back side here, and then I tied it off in several locations just to help train the leader up. I want more of an upright tree-ish shape rather than kind of a sprawling shape. Okay, the last one I want to pot up today is the hardy fig, which is out in the high tunnels, so we need to go get it. I also need to grab a pot and probably more potting soil too. This is the Chicago hardy fig. Isn't that just a beautiful plant? It's got gorgeous leaves, really deeply lobed, really interesting to look at. It's a zone 5 through 10, so I could technically plant it out in our landscape and expect it to come back. And it does fruit on new wood, so even in colder climates, if it suffers some dieback, it should produce fruit even that same year. I did buy this when it had no leaves on it at all. So I have a few stems I'll trim off today. In fact, even the leader's got nothing. So I'll trim that down. And it's produced a little bit of growth down at the base here. And I don't really want a bush. I kind of want it to be a little bit more tree formed. So I'm gonna kind of keep that trimmed up, I think. I will be leaving all of the things that we're potting today in the greenhouse for a little while because that's a situation they're used to. Technically, all of these plants call for fold apart sun, but it's supposed to be 108 degrees today. And because they're used to this diffused light, a little bit more production, I'm gonna keep them in that until it cools off a little bit. I actually think this is gonna be a really pretty specimen planted in a container. It may not be something I can put in a heated greenhouse because it may require some sort of cool in order to produce, but I can put it out here in the cold frame where it's not as cold as it is outside, but it does definitely stay warmer. So anyway, I put some fresh potting soil right there, that potting soil in the container already with a little biotone starter fertilizer. So I'm just gonna get this potted and trimmed, and then we'll take a look in the end at what it looks like. I'm excited about this one. It's so big. And there it is, all cleaned up and potted. Isn't that gorgeous? I really like it, like really like it. It's gonna be so pretty somewhere out in the garden. And because the pot is so large, we'll be able to keep it in here for quite some time. All of the clippings I took from the bottom, I cleaned up and I popped them down in some water. We'll see if we can get them to root, kind of like with our fiddlehead fig back there. I'm gonna put them in a more appropriate vase so once I get inside so the leaves aren't all smashed and kind of, yeah, laying against the sides of the vessel. And that is it for today's video. Super excited to have these potted because I've had most of these for a few months and they've just been sitting kind of waiting till I had a moment to do it. And these days that get so darn hot during the afternoon, it's kind of their perfect projects to come out here. Just do a quick little project in the morning and then we kind of try to hunker down and stay out of the heat as best as we can and just try to keep our plants alive. Our 10-day looks pretty much the same as today. I mean, it's anywhere between 102 and 108. I'm hoping, like every day I check our weather app and I hope that 10th day out there is going to show below 100, but so far every day the new day just shows another temperature above 100 degrees. So anyway, I'm looking forward to this part of the summer being over. For somebody who likes temperatures between about 50 and 70, it gets to be a little much. However, our stuff is growing like crazy, so I'm not going to complain too much about the heat because it does make for a very successful growing season. We get a lot of production out of flowers and fruit and vegetables, and that is really awesome too. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'm really looking forward to seeing these things grow and giving you guys progress updates as we go. And I'll let you know too on the fiddlehead fig how the repot went, and hopefully we didn't shock it or anything like that. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.